Hi guys, Harry Otis here, professional trader for 20 years now. Started my career in 2005, still alive in 2026. Oh, Friday, yay, June 12th, SpaceX finally debuts. We'll get to that and the implications going forward. That's the big news of the day. Was it successful? Was it not? What about the other sectors that are involved in this space dream of Elon's? Okay, we'll get to it shortly, but first we always talk about the technical picture. Guys, this is Friday, June 12th, and we finished higher. Okay, so what do the technicals say? Let's bring in the moving averages, same as yesterday. We held the 50, we're above the 50. Everything looks strong, technically speaking, above the 50. The 50 is above the 200, both trending upwards. Technically speaking, we are in a bull market. Okay, technically speaking. Now, let's go to the sentiment. We ticked up from 30 to 34. We're at fear. Okay, still fearful. Okay, everything else is basically in fear, or, well, the breadth is at extreme fear. Put calls are at fear. Nothing really. The VIX is at neutral. So every one of the sub indices is leaning towards fear. But the market momentum went up from fear to greed because we avoided these super lows and now we're going higher. Okay, so this is positive for the bulls. We mentioned yesterday we had the AAII that was very, very fearful, very bearish. So that's very, very good going forward. Okay. However, I'd like to make it note, okay, that despite the fact that we've corrected 5% and are bouncing, we're still not out of the woods yet. This could be a lower high before going lower. Okay. And the reason that we have to keep that in mind, okay, even though we're generally bullish and I think this market finishes higher by the end of the year, we have to still. We mentioned it yesterday and the day before that we were never at extremes. It didn't look like we got a washout. This could have been maybe it, but we just covered the gap, a 725 gap that I suspected, and we're higher here. However, we could still go lower. We haven't gotten to extremes. Okay, if we really, really get lower, something happens after the SpaceX event or something bad happens, we could go much lower. Okay, and the extreme fear could be reached when we hit this other support level, which is the 700 breakout level. It's still possible. We're not out of the woods yet, and we didn't get to extremes in the market, so we could still get there. Okay, but however, I'm looking more of a longer term view. The sentiment is very negative. Even if we get lower, it's going to be very, very extreme, and it's going to really, really push, give us more fuel in the future for a really explosive move to the upside by the end of the year. Okay. Because remember, we're still in the summertime. Summertime, the famous saying is we're in the summer doldrums. Okay, nothing could happen in the summertime for a long time. You don't know. Okay, however, and we didn't get to extremes. So just a mental note. Okay, however, if we do get some catalyst, like the war is over and everybody starts jumping on SpaceX and it fuels another meme stock rally, yeah, that could easily happen. Okay. So I didn't get a chance to add a lot to market stocks because they never were at extreme levels. So I added to my gold. We'll know that. You know that. So that's a different story. Okay, so we'll talk about that later. But first, let's get to the SpaceX fantasy. Fantasy turned reality, I should say. Okay, the stock market. Everybody's popping the champagne on Wall Street. SpaceX stock closes at 161, jumping 19% after a record IPO. Yes, and it is a record IPO. It's huge. Okay, so let's see what happened. Okay, and the day doesn't really say much. I'm going to reserve playing this stock until I get more history behind it. But remember, it was supposed to open at 135. It opened at 150, went all the way up to 176, closed at 160, and now after market's closing at 164. Remember, we said yesterday there's going to be buying pressure. Okay, clearly, because funds only got 25% allocation. So they're going to keep buying it. It might not be over for the first day. Okay. What was the volume? 512 million shares were traded. So maybe I don't think they bought their full allocation, but a lot of funds really need to meet their allocation goals. They want to be 100% allocated, and they have to do it in the open market. So this could add a lot of buying pressure going forward. I don't know how long it'll take. It could take a week before they're fully allocated. It could take a month. Nobody knows. But I think there's going to be upward pressure in SpaceX going forward. Okay, but what about its sister stocks, like its peers? Okay, one of them is Planet Labs. Is it going up? No, it went down. Okay, it's approaching a good level. I like it. Okay, Planet Labs right here. What about Space Virgin? was up yesterday on the anticipated move, sell the news. Okay, buy the rumor, sell the news. This is with Space. This is Virgin. What about MDA? Another one. MDA Space. Buy the rumor, sell the news. So every other stock, this bearish engulfing, it looks bad. So all their sister, buying the crap, so you will, along with SpaceX, doesn't seem to be working here because SpaceX seems to be the only one that is catching the bid. And even though it's down from the highs, it's still much fared better than its peers going forward. Okay, so let's dig deeper into SpaceX. Is it a good company? Should we buy it? What's going on? Okay, so I pulled up here the investor relations for SpaceX. You click on the roadshow, you get this SpaceX roadshow presentation, and if you go it's filled with a lot of hype. Our mission, we're amazing, blah blah blah. We have 3 segments. Great. We have to go all the way back down to look at the track record in the end. Okay, we want to see what the revenues and the growth is like. Okay, so significant growth and scale enables investment in value creation. This is 2023, 2024, 2025, the revenues. 10 billion, 14 billion, 18 billion. It's growing its revenues, okay? But if you can see each segment here, the gray is the space segment, is not really growing. The dark blue here is the AI segment. It's not really growing after 3 years. The driver of this revenue is this, connectivity, which is like Starlink. That is growing, and you'll see going forward. Okay, so the revenues are growing. Okay, and it's not really making. This is EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA. Okay, it's growing slightly, but GAAP earnings are down a lot. Okay, so the capital expenditures you see huge. 2023, 4 billion. 11 billion in 24, huge, and it's all AI. This blue thing, it's mostly all AI capital expenditures that are taking it in the red, and it is losing money. Okay, as you can see, the revenue growth for 1 year has been 33% between 24 and 25. 11.2 to 20 is like 33% growth. Okay, but look, the GAAP net income, it's losing 26%. It's losing for every, and look, future target, they expect to make 45% return net. It's a dream, I think, in the short term, maybe in the long term, who knows? But if you're making $1 and you're selling $1, but you're losing 26 cents, or your shareholders for every dollar is not good return. Okay, it's very devastating. Okay, so as you can see, this breaks down the revenue into the space segment. Look, from 2023, space is 3.6 in revenues, and now it's just 4.1. It's not that high. Connectivity is what drove it. 3.9, 7.6, 11.4 billion. Connectivity is they're expecting a 1.6 trillion in total addressable market. It's a big one, 1.6 trillion. Okay. And AI, you can see AI is 3 billion, 2.6. So the majority is connectivity, 11 billion. Okay, out of the 18 billion. But it's Starlink. It's the driving force. It's not AI and it's not space. They expect the revenues to grow, the profitability to grow with space and maybe AI. Okay, so far that hasn't been the case. Okay, so as you can see, it's not making money. There's losses. Okay, in billions. The net loss for 2023 was 4.6 billion. Flat in 2024, 4.9 billion in 2025. But look at this. Just the first quarter of 2026 is losing as much money as it is for all of 2025. So it's going to be burning money. Okay, so it's very, very devastating. Okay? Very, very devastating. Especially now, like if you saw the stock, and the stock is very overpriced. I mean, it's trading at here. What was it? What was SpaceX trading at? It's at 164, 160. This is like a maybe 2 trillion market cap. A 2 trillion market cap when your stock is basically overall making, where was it? 18, 19 billion. That's like, 2 trillion, 2,000 divided by 18 or 19. That's like over 100, 110, 111 price to sales. It's priced 100 price to sales ratio, meaning that the price is $100 in price for every in stock price out there. For every $1 in revenues that you're making is going to take you 100 years of sales to make back your money. sales, not even earnings, which is very, very overpriced. They're planning euphoric future ahead. So, I mean, I wouldn't buy this right now. Okay, this is not, fundamentally speaking, yeah, I can't justify it except if revenue grows dramatically and you get some huge increase in earnings, which they're not going to get. I don't see that in the near future. So this is why I don't want to buy it. However, it could become a revenue growth story. That's a whole different story. So we don't know. Okay, what another question that I like to have with this is that with SpaceX is that now that SpaceX is tradable, what's going on with Tesla? Okay, I have a short put here and a short call working, and it's probably going to expire worthless. It expires next week. But what happens with Tesla? Will this become a non-meme stock all of a sudden? Okay, I don't think so because it's in the index. So I just goes to show you that we have to see how Tesla does it split the vote. Does do people start buying SpaceX right now instead of Tesla? I don't know how Tesla will react. Will it lose some of its shine and luster or capital flows, or I should say liquidity flows, investment flows going into it because SpaceX is there? I don't know. It's something, it remains to be seen. It's a question mark. So I will be looking for that in the future. How does Tesla fare? Because Tesla I've been trading it a long time and it's always been good to me. Okay, it's very reliable, very liquid. So it's been a good earner. But I don't know how it will perform in the future. I'll have to see. Okay, so while we mentioned before that SpaceX, let's conclude SpaceX first before getting into SPY. Okay, SpaceX is not a company fundamentally that I would go for. It doesn't have enough revenue growth to justify 100 times sales price. Okay, but it could be a meme stock that everybody goes to. Because Tesla was like this in the beginning, but it wasn't that overpriced in the beginning when it was trading at $100 or $200 pre-split. Okay, so we don't know yet. It's very, very in the future. It could be amazing in 20 years, but I can't model 20 years ahead. So fundamentally, I'm not pro this company, although it can be a revenue growth story. Remains to be seen. So for me, I don't know if I'm going to jump to SpaceX and start trading SpaceX as opposed to Tesla. I think I'm going to still stick with Tesla if that's the case. So that's my conclusion with that. For the SPY, remember SPY can continue to go lower. Okay, we haven't seen overdone extreme fear in it yet. Okay, however, if SpaceX could still, get a lot of fund flows going into it for the next week or so, which could support SPY, but I'd like to see the breadth here. I like to see the breadth here increase from extreme fear. We need it to move higher. We need money to go into other sectors, not just SpaceX. Okay, we need money to go into other sectors or AI. We can't just have just SpaceX and AI. Okay, it has to be more. Okay, so I think it does. I think breadth does increase throughout the year. Okay, but right now we're still in limbo. Looks good, nice bounce, but because we didn't hear extremes yet, we can still get to the down level. If not, if it continues to go higher and it's a V bottom, great. Okay, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. It could still easily do it. Trust me, it's not out of the question. It's just that when you have extremes, when you go to extremes, the subsequent up move is more certain. I have more certitude in me that the up move is coming viciously. But right now I don't. Okay, unless we break to new highs, and we haven't seen that yet. Okay, because we do have terrible sentiment. We have fear, and we have in the AAII, I didn't bring it up right now, but we have 47% bears. So we have a lot of bears still out there, which could fuel it. So there are other factors in there that could fuel this move higher without having to go to extremes. So, okay, so I keep that in mind. But right now, we're not out of the woods yet. Okay, I would love it if it went to retest the 700s. I'd be buying like crazy because I'm not really buying general market stocks yet as much as I've been buying the golds. Okay, so that's it, guys. Let's see what happens next week. Will SpaceX lift the entire market and make everything go higher, make everybody want to buy other stocks as well? We'll see. That remains to be seen. Okay, so next week is the Fed, and we have a shortened Juneteenth week. It's going to be, we'll see, wash coming in for the Fed. Let's see what happens. Later.